right. Believe we are live. Okay. Mic check. Let me make some adjustments real quick. All right, guys. Welcome back to the Bit with Attention podcast. It is officially episode 4. Crazy, man. It's going to be, I think I said this in one of my last episodes. It's going to be fun to see the episodes kind of pile on top of each other. So super excited. I launched a pod at the beginning of this week, the other day, and you guys been giving me some really great positive feedback. So I appreciate that for sure. You guys can definitely continue to give me some feedback. You know, I love that for sure. So before we hop right into it, because you guys know I like to hop right into it, I want to let you guys and girls know that from starting on Monday, so today is March 12th, so starting on Monday, I believe that's the 16th, a new episode will be dropping Monday through Friday. So that's Monday through Friday. I haven't decided the time yet. It'll probably be, in the morning or something like that, because, I like to wake up early. So yeah, we'll figure that out, and I'll let you guys know. So yeah, new episode dropping Monday through Friday, every day, probably for the rest of time. Just wanted to share that with you guys. So, you guys know, like to get right into it. And today's episode, I'm not gonna lie, it's a banger. It's a banger, objectively speaking, right? So, today we're discussing, you see the title, man. Let's get right into it. Today we're discussing how to navigate the talking stage as a man. So, I'm going to break down what the talking stage is, certain mistakes we as men make when in that talking stage, how to properly navigate the talking stage, and stick around to the end because I actually have a really, really great story for you. It's about a mistake that I've learned from and that you guys can learn from when it comes to being in the talking stage. And yes, it's something that I actually went through. So you guys will love that. So let's break it down. So what exactly is the quote unquote talking phase exactly? So I'm pretty sure everybody has like a great general idea of what the talking stage is, but let me break this down so we clear and I frame it correctly. So the talking phase is simply that phase in the middle of just meeting a girl / dating a girl. And when I say dating her, I mean you just met her. Y'all are going on a few dates, really getting to know each other on the surface level, right? So it's in between that, the meeting / dating her, and it's also in between, the relationship. And obviously, I don't need to explain the relationship part. So why is the talking phase a crucial time for us as men when we're picking our partner or whatever, right? So this phase is pretty much like the launching pad into a relationship. So this is where you kind of like dating without the title pretty much. It's a crucial time because this can either make you or break you, right? So when you meet a new girl, it's very exciting, especially when you guys are connecting and, you enjoy being in each other's spaces. It's great. It's a great feeling, right? So when you enter the talking phase, you basically kind of go beyond that. I like to call it the cupcake phase. I like to call that the cupcake phase. Then you go to like the talking phase. It can still be considered cupcake-ish. So yeah, you go beyond that and you enter the talking phase. And this is where you guys are going a few layers deep, seeing each other in different environments. You kind of do a little bit of this when you're dating as well, but you're seeing each other in different environments, maybe meeting each other's friends, all that good stuff. You're basically vetting each other and seeing if you want to be in a relationship. That's my Google definition of the talking phase, right? So okay, second point, how should you approach this? How should you approach, wanting to go into the talking phase, right? So if let's say let me draw a scenario. Let's say you're dating around and you find a girl that you like and you want to pursue on a deeper level. So let me say, when I say dating, let me full context. When I say dating, right, to me, dating just simply means you're on the market, right? So let's say, you've been single for like, half a year and you're like, let me get back into dating. I want a partner. Let me get back into dating, right? So that just simply means, you go to the run club, you hop on the dating app, whatever, however you meet people. And you're just like, okay, I got a date Monday, date Wednesday, date Saturday. You'd be a busy person if you did all that. But let's say, you met this person, you met that person, and you met this person. So, you're just going on dates, you're kind of talking to them all. But then one girl, she stands out, right? She stands out. And, you're like, I really like her. I'm going to choose to pursue her on a deeper level, right? So this is how you approach that, trying to get to that talking stage. So because the talking stage too should, like I said, it's dating before the title, right? So 9 times out of 10, it comes with some exclusivity between the two of you. So you're kind of locked in. I don't want to say kind of locked in. I got an alarm going off. Hold on. Funnily enough, that's actually my bedtime alarm to get ready for bed. It's currently 8:30 right now, so that's pretty funny. So yeah, so it's a girl that you want to go into the talking phase with. So 9 times out of 10, at least this is how I think it should be. Y'all are aiming for that exclusivity, meaning like y'all aren't dating, but you kind of are dating. You know what I mean? Like y'all are working towards that title, but at the same time. So let's say it's pre-dating, like you're dating without the title, but you're working towards that. So it should come with some exclusivity, in my opinion. So your approach is to simply, you want to have a conversation with her. It's funny because this is very simple, but I feel like a lot of guys don't do this. So you simply want to communicate this clearly. Like you don't want to leave shit to girls in terms of like you want to lead like everything, right? And that'll come into play with the story I'm going to tell later. So your approach is to simply have a conversation with her. This could be, you could send her a text. It could be the next time you see her in person. That would actually go. Doing shit in person is a lot better because when you say something to someone's face, you can really, based on their reaction, whatever, you can legit like get a feel of like, so let's say you chose that girl and you're like, hey, like, I want to take this to the next level. I just want to, I'm not saying we date, but I kind of want some exclusivity. I don't know what you got going on. You can kind of tell based on her reaction and her vibe if she's into you or not. I mean, I'm going to assume at this point, if y'all are going on a few dates and you see her worthy to go to that next level, I'm going to assume she likes you. But still, it is better to do it in person. But the format in which you do it does not really matter, right? So you can send her a text or the next time you see her, like I said, it doesn't really matter. But you'd be like, hey, I really like you. I love spending time with you. I want to start working towards, a serious relationship, right? So let me add this. So everybody's situation is different. And I can't necessarily give you, a timeline in which you decide to do it. I can give you like a range. So for instance, right, if you're dating a girl for a week, that's probably a little too soon. I mean, there's exceptions to the rule, but rules aren't the exceptions, right? But that's probably a little too. I would say maybe right under a month is probably the beginning in which you can start, putting these wheels in motion, right? So, but you got to use judgment on that. Like if it was me, like if I met a girl tomorrow, right? And, we were going on dates consistently, talking consistently, I would give her like a smooth, if I liked her, I would be like, hey, like, maybe I would say 3 weeks to a month. Then you can start, boom. Then you go through that vetting process of like trying to enter the talking phase and then see, there's a progression, but I can't tell you the timeline in which you can do it. You're going to have to, determine that for yourself. And if you honestly need any advice, I mean, I'm not a dating coach. I give you advice on certain shit. So I'm not a dating coach, but you can drop me a DM on the gram, Dekufin, DEKUFINN, DEKUFINN, one word, no underscores. So you've entered the talking phase. So let's discuss real quick how to start. Well, we discussed how to start it. Let's discuss how to navigate it, right? So now that you're in the talking phase, this is when you go a few layers deep. You're having different, deeper conversations, maybe getting to know her, like really on a deeper level. Like, what's an example? Like, just certain things like, hey, like, what's your family life like? And granted, like I said, some of this can spill over into the dating phase of this, or the cupcake phase of this. However, this is when you're really going deep, because remember, you're vetting each other, so you're trying to see if you really want to take this into a relationship, right? So you're having deeper conversations, sleepovers, consistent date nights, whatever the case is, right? So let's discuss some common mistakes we as men make during these talking phases, right? And you could take this and don't do this. So the first thing is doing too much too early. So this applies to during the talking phase and also before the talking phase, once again. But essentially, you don't want to suffocate the girl. Obviously, girls, this applies to if you're dating a guy as well. This is, but I'm speaking to men. You don't want to suffocate the girl that you're dealing with. You want to still have a decent boundary established on certain things. I'm not saying being nonchalant, because that shit's just not like it's not. I'm kind of over like the nonchalant shit. Like, it's a difference between being kind of laid back and nonchalant. Actually, I have like a whole episode that I want to kind of like rant about nonchalantness, but that's not in the context of like dating. That's just more so in the context of like anything, being too cool and shit, right? So I'll dive into that on another episode, right? So what I was saying is, see, I'm trying. See, people. People was giving me feedback, and they was like, "Yo, you're ranting," and I was like, "Dude, like that's kind of what I want. Like, I want to rant, and I want people to feel like they're in this room, and I'm speaking directly to them, and I just rant. So, unfortunately, that's just something that people are just gonna have to deal with. But again, you don't have to listen to this. So anyway, so yeah. I'm not telling you to be nonchalant with a girl that you fucking like. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go all out. Like, dude, like bro, one thing that, so this was here. Okay, here's that rant I was talking about. So one thing that I was kind of asking a few girls, like a bunch of different girls, like a few months ago, was like, hey, like, how do you feel about flowers on the first date? And if you're a girl listening to this, you can also give me your opinion as well. Like, yeah, like, you just meet a guy and, he gives you flowers on the first date. So I'll give you my two logics behind it. So at first I'm like, like, I feel like girls want flowers from a guy that they're like emotionally invested in, right? But then another part of me, I don't know if it's because I've gotten a little older, but another part of me is like, nah, man, like, that would just be a hell of a first impression, and you're not necessarily doing it. Like, you're not love bombing. Somebody sent me a video on love bombing today. It was funny. You're not necessarily trying to love bomb. It's more so you showing the kind of guy you are. You know what I mean? More so like, hey, like, this is how I operate. Like, here's your flowers. Like, I just want you to feel special. Like, dating should be fun, man. Dating should be fun, right? So, you want the girl to have a good time. You want her to feel special. Like, you really, like, she took the time out of her day to, come and go on a date with you. So, flowers on the first date, but we could debate that if you like. Okay. Hopefully I didn't get too far off track. Too far off track. So the second thing, common mistakes that we don't want to make, is being complacent in this stage. So a lot of men, we get complacent in different areas, and I'll be plugging the next episode. I'm definitely going to go into that in a different episode, but that will more so speak to complacency in general. But in the talking stage, it's imperative that you don't get complacent, and in a relationship, same thing. But I'm also going to make, the argument that if it's this early on, you won't get to that point because you took the initiative to ask her to be serious or whatever. Sometimes a girl asks you, you know what I mean? Sometimes a girl asks you, right? But if you did it, if you initiated that, I'm going to assume that you wouldn't get to that point. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, right? So here's the third point. And the final point on this topic, right? You can't ignore the red flags, right? So, like I said, as you get closer to a girl, you're gonna see her in different environments. You're gonna see how she handles different situations. That's a big one. This can apply to friendships too. You know, let's say you go. Let's keep it simple. You go out to a restaurant and you got a heavy waiter. I talked about this on the Keys to Greatness podcast. Shout out to Cedric. We got to run that back. Um, let's say you got a girl on you say you want to date with her. Let's keep it simple. And, a heavy waiter comes around. 9 times out of 10, a girl's not gonna do this to another girl, but this is the only thing I thought of. But once again, this applies to other friends too. You basically want to see how they treat other people. Somebody calling me. Hold on. I'm getting hella interruptions today. Hold on. Recording the pod. Call you back. LOL. I'm doing one take. I'm not gonna hold you. All right. So you you basically, you're seeing her in different environments. You see how she handles different situations, and you seeing what her friends are like. That's a really good one. Seeing what her friends are like, because the people that people keep around them is a humongous indicator. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm gonna make sure I turn this shit off next time I record. To be fair, I'll be having like a million alarms. But the people that she spends her time with, that's like a humongous indicator of like who she is and this, certain shit that she, likes to be around or whatever. So hopefully that makes sense. Then you see what her place is like, you know what I mean? So let me be clear on something. Red flags, right? There's a buzzword nowadays, but I don't want to be too dire about this because nobody's perfect. So when I say red flags, I mean things that are like deal breakers to you or potential deal breakers to you as you enter a relationship, right? So what's an example? Let's just keep it simple. Like, if she treats her friends like shit, if she's messy, messy could be, no soccer player, but messy, I fuck around too much. All right. Messy could be, just messy in a metaphorical sense, like not, messy house, messy, whatever. Like there are certain things, whatever you consider a deal breaker, don't ignore that if you get to know her more. You know what I mean? Okay. So hopefully that made sense. So story time. Okay. So, let me tell you guys a story about how this happened to me where I didn't navigate the talking phase correctly, right? Yeah. Let me not sugarcoat the shit. So, I met this girl, obviously we're not dropping no names, we're not dropping no extra details, just listen to the story. Thank you. Um So, we met, then she invited me over. Honestly, we were just hanging out a lot, spending a lot of time together. We start being intimate with each other, cuddling, watching Love Out, all that good stuff, right? And we had these very deep conversations about pretty much everything. And these are the type of conversations that can form a bond between you and another person, right? But but in the midst of these conversations, we would speak on past relationships and whatnot, because it's not necessarily a bad thing to, like, let's say you meet a girl and y'all are having that one of those deep conversations. It's not a bad thing for someone to bring up their ex, or for someone to bring up a past situation that they were in, because that's how we learn. You know what I mean? Like, this happened here, I don't want this to happen. I raised my standards, so I'm just sharing this with you because this is not acceptable to me anymore. You know what I mean? So but I noticed she brought up, a situation with her ex, and not so often enough to where I'm like raising my eyebrow, but also often enough to where I was raising my eyebrow. But I'm the type of guy, I like to give things perspective, right? I like to give a bunch of things perspective, right? So I was giving her some grace because, girls are very like emotionally based. Shout out to all the queens listening to this. Girls are very, they're more emotional than us men, right? So the way she articulated her experience, I was thinking like, I don't think she necessarily wants him back, but this might have just hurt her to the point where I can still feel it when she talks about it. You know what I mean? So let's fast forward. So she went home for the holidays, right? she wasn't where I was from. So she went home from the holidays. And, we were talking regularly like, via text, and I think maybe a few phone calls here or there. And then she mentioned that she had like a deep conversation with her friends about her ex or about that particular situation with her ex. So mind you, me and her never got around to this. We were supposed to though. She was supposed to kind of walk me through what happened, but we just it like never ended up happening. So this time when she told me that, I was just like, text her like, hey, like, do you need some space? Because it's to the point where I'm like, if it's affecting you that much, I don't want to continue talking to you because now I'm starting to like you, and then if this gets serious, you'd be hopping from one thing to another. Like, are you ready for that? Blah blah blah, right? So she told me, like, no, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know about space. I really like you. I really want to continue to pursue you. Now, she did say she'd let me know if that changed, so I'm not trying to frame this a certain way and make her sound like bad or whatever, because I actually blame myself for this, and I'll get more into that when I, wrap it up. So yeah, I'm not trying to frame it like she's bad. Like I'm not on that type of stuff. But we did have that conversation, and let's say we had that conversation on a Monday, right? And after we concluded that conversation, by Wednesday, she was ghosting me for like 3-ish days. And the whole time I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, you giving me, I'm not really an anxious person, but you giving me anxiety in a way. 'Cause I'm like, but honestly, like, I knew what was coming, and that like clockwork, that shit came, right? So she texted me saying basically, I thought about what you said. I think it's unfair. So let me like expound on what I said to her. I just told her like, yeah, man, like straight up, like I like you, and but I'm also not trying to intrude. I'm like paraphrasing my own words. I'm not trying to, like if you're not ready, like that's also fine. I would rather, I would rather give you your space, and then, maybe we could, spend a block on this, try this again after you've had some time. But to me, it doesn't make sense for you to be engaging with me while you're not, like it just doesn't make sense, right? So that's kind of like what I said to her. But I told her, and this is an issue, but I'm gonna talk about this at the end. I told her, I was like, yeah, like, I told her all of that, and she basically texted me saying, like, I thought about what you said. I think it's unfair to you for me to keep seeing you, and I don't want to hurt you, and I do like you, and I enjoy you. You're a great person, but I think we're in different places and all that type of stuff. So I'm just like, different places. I'm like, so, I'm like a little irritated because, I like the girl. So I'm like, what you mean different places? Like, dude, like you just, so here's like my initial reaction. I'm like, what do you mean different places? Like, what indicated that we're in quote unquote different places? Like, you know what I mean? Like we spent all, you know what I mean? Like nothing, like it's not like, we're like not on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? So but I feel like she just kind of said that shit to like justify it. There was really no base to it. So yes, I was irritated. So we talked, and I was like, oh, and then she said something along the lines of like, I don't think you're the type of person I would want to be with. And I was kind of, I was tight, bro. I was just like, how can you say this? Like, I asked her, I was like, yo, like, how can you say that I'm not your, that type of guy you go for when, you hugging me, you kissing me, saying you like me, begging me to come over, like, not begging, but, asking me to come, I don't want to frame it like that, asking me to come over, like, hey, when can you come over, like, initiating things. We just went back and forth and had a conversation, but I was tight, I'm not gonna lie. So, let's discuss where I went wrong in this, because I'm the type of guy, like, I feel like I always know better. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm going to always reflect on the situation and be like, yo, you could have did this better, that better, right? So, it's taking accountability. We discussed that in a previous episode. So, the first moment I raised my eyebrow at her, like, mentioning her ex, right? And this is, if you're in this situation, this is something you need to do. So, the first time she ever mentioned that, I should have had a conversation. I'm like, hey, so, like, what's going on as far as this situation goes? Because, I don't want that to affect this situation because, I like you. I'm hoping to see where things go. Like, I'm not just here to fuck around. So, hey, like, tell me what happened with, like, I should have got more information from that. But, and I was like, hey, if you still, hung up on that, kind of what I said before she, hit me with the bullshit. So Oh, I forgot to mention. So after maybe like a month ish, maybe like right after a month ish after we stopped talking, she posted a picture. Well, you know how like on Instagram, somebody tags you in a picture and you can like repost it. But you know how if you Instagram has this thing where like it shows up in like a box and it'll like show you the person's profile, but then they have this thing where you press it and it'll be like a full frame, and then kind of like at the top it has like this little emblem that shows like a little arrows pointing in a circle, and it has that person's like their tag, not their tag, their handle, because they tagged you. So she reposted a dude. This shit fun. She reposted a picture and he was like, "Happy birthday, babe," or some shit like that. And I was like, "Oh," but to be real with you, that didn't surprise me, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was her ex. You see what I'm saying? So it's all good. But yeah. Then she unfollowed me, and I'm like, okay, I knew she said she wanted us to be friends. I forgot to mention that earlier. She said she wanted to still be friends, but I'm not surprised that she unfollowed me, because I mean, what's the point? I mean, me and you, like, you had a boyfriend now. Me and you were like intimate, whatever. When I say intimate, I don't mean like just physically. I'm talking about like you could be intimate with somebody without being physical, like anyway. So yeah, I should have had that conversation with her, honestly, but to be real with you, I should have just removed myself entirely from that situation and told her like, "Hey, like I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm just going to remove myself to protect my own feelings. Like I like you, but it just seems like you have like a ton going on with this situation with your ex." I shouldn't have put the ball in her court. You feel what I'm saying? I should have picked the ball up and left the gym. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have gave her the option. So if you in a situation like that, like we as men, man, we really gotta take control of our own situations. Don't let, cause I'm gonna be real. Like I feel like in that situation, this is just pure speculation based on like what I know or whatever. I think when she got out of that situation with her ex or whatever, I think she was just lonely and she was vulnerable. So then, she met me, thought I was attractive, saying I was sexy, all that, whatever. And then I think she just wanted that comfort in that, like, because she was going through like an emotional roller coaster. So I think she just wanted that comfort. And obviously we were being intimate with each other. So I think, and that's another reason why that situation still irritates me, because honestly, I feel like she kind of using me, I mean, that's just the truth, I mean, shout out to her, I don't think she a bad person. I actually think she a great person and everything, but I mean, hey, that's just the truth. And we as men, we can't allow that to happen, because honestly, man, women lust over us as well. Like, yeah, everyone says men lust over women, and they are correct, because a lot of men can't control themselves. Y'all, not me, can't control themselves. Something we need to work on, and we definitely gonna talk about that. But it definitely works the other way around. Like, ladies, shout out to y'all. But but anyway, yeah, guys. So please take that situation I gave you, and definitely see where you can use it in any situation that you're dealing with. But that was an example of not a poor example. That was an example of how I didn't handle a situation correctly, right? So quick recap. When you start dating, you find a girl that you like, you want to be serious with, make sure that you're clear, honest about what it is that you want. And honestly, bro, don't be ashamed to be open and genuine with a girl you like. Honestly, like, we are just in an era where everyone has their guard up. Nobody wants to commit. Everybody wants to play games, have a roster. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. And I mean, I kind of get it. Like, it sucks to be hurt, but bro, just be genuine with a girl, man. Like, that whole like that shit is out. That shit is like overplayed. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have a whole episode on like the dangers of casual sex amongst men or whatever. And we're gonna go deep on that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, bro, just be yourself, man. If you like a girl, bro, there's no shame in that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stand on that, man. So to be honest with what you want and have that conversation when you're in the talking phase. Just simply take your time to make sure you vet the girl properly, and then you can go from there. If you need any advice, have anything you want to discuss as far as navigating the talking stage, you can drop me a DM at Dekufin on IG, DEKUFINN. All right, so let's move on to today's fitness corner. So it's going to be a short corner today. Short corner, that's a baseline shot. I just want to explain to you guys. So, okay, today we go. Let me stop talking about it. Today we got to explain. Okay, I just want to explain to you guys the importance of drinking water and what it can do for you and your body, right? So I think everyone knows that you're supposed to be drinking water. We don't get enough of it. If you have fitness goals and you're wondering why you aren't seeing any progress, take a good look at how much water you're consuming on a daily basis. Something that's funny that I hear people say, for instance, they may say like, "Man, I'm dehydrated." Like let's say they say, "Man, I'm dehydrated." and I say, how much water you drink? And they're like, I've been drinking, I drank 2 bottles, 3 bottles today. And I'm like, first off, that's not enough. Secondly, you guys got to realize hydration is something that you have to do continuously, like throughout the day, every day, all day to say you hydrated, right? So just because, so let's say, today Thursday. So if you don't drink water Thursday, Friday, when Saturday comes and you start drinking water, you're not really hydrated. You get hydration later. You know what I mean? So water benefits. Water cleans out your body, lubricates your joints, helps with body temperature, like regulates your body temperature levels. And it really, really helps with your energy levels. Like, you don't understand the effect that it has on your energy levels if you don't. And if you're a water drinker, you understand the energy part. And if you're a water drinker, you know all water doesn't taste the same. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. It was funny. So how much water should you have every day? So me personally, I drink a gallon every day, sometimes more. But what you want to do is you take your body weight and you multiply it by 0.6. And whatever that number is how many ounces of water you should have minimum every day, right? So I'm 200.6 pounds, right? Last time I weighed myself, right? I'm going to weigh myself in the morning. So I would need 120.36 ounces of water. So that's nice because that's basically a gallon. A gallon is 128 ounces, and I have a 64-ounce hydro flask that I carry around. So I just need 2 of those, and I'll be at a gallon for the day. So makes that super simple. So real quick, I want to mention how you can enhance your water and enhance your hydration, right? So sometimes, I'll have like a Gatorade or a Body Armor during or after a workout. Typically, it's after I do like heavy cardio. So if I'm, for instance, let's say I ran 10 miles one morning, I'll have like a Gatorade after that. Or if I play basketball for a few hours, I'll have a Gatorade Body Armor, whichever one I have a taste for after that. Because I'm not really hungry. I think everybody can relate to this. I'm not really hungry after I work out, unless you didn't eat that day. Then the cardio that'll make you hungry, like probably immediately after. But typically, I'm not super hungry after after I do that cardio activity. But I'm definitely thirsty, right? So I grab a quick Gatorade or Body Armor. But that's more of a performance thing. It's not necessarily pure hydration. Like, I don't think you should be like, man, I need to hydrate. Let me go grab a Gatorade or a Body Armor. Like, no, that's not what I mean. You can find some electrolytes you like, and you can add them to your water, and that's basically a really great way to hydrate. You can little hack if you do it, and I would say maybe like 20 ounces of water. So electrolytes, 20 ounces of water, 30 minutes before you exercise. That's any type of exercise. That's lifting weights, running, cardio, whatever. You'll notice it'll do something for you. A big one I love is coconut water. That shit is amazing. I'm gonna give you guys a heads up. That's an acquired taste because one of my homies was like, "Yeah, man, I saw you drinking the coconut water," so I went and grabbed one. By the way, people be watching you, man. People be watching you because I wouldn't have known that he did that unless he told me. You see what I'm saying? But people be watching you, man. But yeah, man, he was like, yeah, I went and got one, and then, it was all right. And I'm like, yeah, it's an acquired taste. Me personally, when I drink and eat stuff, I don't necessarily do it for the taste. I love my Chick-fil-A. I love my stuff, but mostly I'm eating for the benefits or whatever. But let me go ahead and wrap this up. It's pretty long episode. It's probably be my longest episode. But I'm going to wrap it up, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I said, episodes are going to be dropping Monday through Friday from this point on. So today is Thursday, March 12th. So Monday, that will start. I'll probably drop another episode this weekend. And I'm also, I'll figure out the time by then, in which I'll, because I want to consistently, I'll just drop them at the same time every day, Monday through Friday. All right, so I appreciate you guys. Remember, if you have any questions about anything we discussed today or about anything else, you can drop me a DM on Instagram. That's DekuFin, DEKUFINN, DekuFin. If you're wondering if that's Deku from My Hero Academia, you are correct. All right, I appreciate you guys. I will see you guys on the next episode. All right, peace.